Hello everyone, you're watching SKLive. I'm your host Indranil Basu. Today we have Mr. Robin Uthappa with us, someone who is always known for his fearlessness on the crease. He's simply outstanding whenever he's played, wherever he's played. Thanks, Robin, for joining us on
My
such a
pleasure.
short.
My pleasure, Indranil.
Yeah,
It's
we
happy to
could.
be here.
Yes, good to see you. When I look at you, one thing which always raises a question: what keeps you going? You're such an example. The love for the sport, is it more than anything else? Or is it the love for the sport which keeps you going?
I think it's the love for the sport. I'm not playing the game for any particular reason. I just play it because I love it. I love the competition in it. I love the complexities of the game, the dynamics of the game, and I think with as time has gone by in this career of mine, I've seen the game change a lot, and they've added more complexities to this beautiful game, and it's actually become more strangely beautiful. So I feel like I fall more in love with the game as time goes, and I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing.
No, I mean we watch so much of Robin Uthappa, and we still continue to watch him in IPL. This is very inspiring, and you've taken the game so serious. I remember hiring a coach to which doesn't happen in Indian cricket that often. You hired a coach in Praveen Amre to sit with him, and be with him in the nets, and he worked on your batting, on your game. That was phenomenal. I mean, can you tell us what exactly went through your mind when you hired a professional coach at when you while you're playing professional cricket?
So I was going through a few things in my personal life after I got dropped from the Indian team initially in 2008, and during that phase, I went for a few years between 2008 and 12. I went through a difficult period. Uh, it was a frustrating period career-wise, but an absolute survival period personally. So I was happy to just come out of that period alive, to be honest. And when I did, I rediscovered my passion for the game, and I started working on my game. Then I was able to commit myself completely to the game in a way where my passion for the game was rekindled to the extent that I wanted to fulfill all of my dreams and goals that I aspired to at that point in time. And one of those goals were to play Test cricket for India. And I knew as an
Yeah.
opening batsman, there were certain gaps in my technique that I need to cover up and get better at and fix, so to speak, to be able to be competent at that level. Um, and Praveen sir incidentally happened to be the batting coach of the Pune Warriors India team at that point in time, and it was during that phase where before a game, we were discussing our techniques, and then in that discussion, sir asked me to trust him. I was struggling with something technically, and he asked me to trust him about something, and asked me to go and just do that in the match, which is not something that anyone generally does. And I happened to do that. It was a game against RCB, and I happened to score about 75 plus or so in about 30-40 balls, and I felt really good. And I stuck with it through the whole tournament, and I had a very successful IPL personally. And it was during that phase that my chemistry with Sir got really good. And after that match, I remember joking with Sir about telling him, and I was telling him that, sir, in tennis, most tennis players have personal coaches. I said,
Yeah.
you should probably become my personal batting coach. We should start something in India. And we had a big laugh about it. And then cut to post the IPL, I was in Spain. I went there for a break. I was there for a couple of weeks, and I just felt very strongly that, even though I joked about something like that, I truly wanted to mend my game and get my technique to be a lot more tighter, so that I can be successful opening the batting and vie for a position in the Indian Test squad. And so then the pursuit began. I called up Sir from a bus stand in Spain. And I told him, sir, I'd like to work with you on a one-on-one basis as professionals. And would you be keen to coach me? And sir told me, Robin, give me some time. I will speak to my coach, and I'll get back to you, because I don't do anything without my coach's blessing. So he happened to call Achareka sir and spoke to him, and Achareka sir gave him his blessing, and I called Praveen sir about 20 minutes later, and he told me that sir has given me his blessing, and I'll go ahead. Let's go ahead. And
Wow.
uh, and after that, I told him, sir, wonderful, thank you so much. So I asked him, so how do we figure out the financial bit, the professional bit of it? So he said to me, Robin, you give me 1 rupee Guru Dakshina, that's more than enough. Uh, and that is the passion of the man, that is Praveen Amre. He is a true, um, I think, a symbol of passion when it comes to coaching. Someone who deeply enjoys coaching and deeply enjoys adding value to young cricketers, and helping them in fixing their technique. And we've eventually figured out the financials and all that, and we started working. And initially, we caught a lot of flock, actually, to be honest. Initially, we a lot of people, came out in the papers and all that, and we were made fun of initially. A lot of ex cricketers
Sure,
thought
sure.
it was strange. A lot of internet, like a lot of people in the system thought it was strange. And But we stuck to it, and cut to 2 or 3 years later, you suddenly started hearing a lot more people having personal coaches, bowlers having personal bowling coaches. You started hearing in these stories, and suddenly you see 5 years down the line, it's a norm. Everyone's got a personal batting coach. Everyone works with somebody. Everyone goes to somebody that they trust, and it's something I think that is required in a sport like cricket, because as much as it is a team game, it is also an individual game, because every player within the team has the opportunity to be a match winner. I think that's the most beautiful thing about our game. Unlike different team sports, where each player plays in a position, and there's a role that's defined to that position, and and then they feed it into a place where the person playing the role of scoring goals, or scoring baskets, or whatever it is able to do that and help the team win. So there are roles, but here in cricket, the beautiful dynamic is that any person within the group at any point during a game can become a match winner. you know and so it's as much as an individual sport as it is a team sport, and it's that complexity, that dynamic, that makes our game, I think, so beautiful. And people have taken to it, and people are, I think it's the way forward, especially in a country like India, where the competition is so much, the volume of talent is so abundant.
Absolutely. I often wonder why Mr. Amre is not the coach of the Indian cricket team. You know, the way he's worked with so many cricketers like you, Ajinkya Rahane, Shreyas Iyer, and he's very good. And I often wonder why is he not? His name was shortlisted at some point,
Yeah.
2 3 years ago.
Yes, he is an
But
extremely competent batting coach, and I think the best in the country, in my opinion. Um, and I'm certain that when it's the right time, sir's a massive believer of that. When it's the right time, and when God says yes, no human being can say no. You know.
human being can say no. You know, when I was a child, I watched Saurav Ganguly. He was also in his teenage years, and I remember he used to start walking when the club bowlers used to run in, and then I saw someone doing, and Saurav wouldn't do it in when he was playing Ranji Trophy or while playing for India, but I saw you doing it at all levels. So what is that style you have when you start walking? you know,
I
with the
actually,
body,
I
quite
actually
unique,
picked that
by
up.
the way. Quite unique.
Yeah, I actually picked that up from Matthew Hayden, to be honest.
Okay.
I saw, as in, if you can remember, when Matthew Hayden played one day cricket and limited overs cricket, is something that he used quite a lot to fast bowlers, because he was so sure of his back foot game. He used that quite a lot against the fast bowlers. So I thought it was something I can possibly add to my repertoire. And we were at, I think, in England before the T20 World Cup, and I hadn't in that series, I didn't play the first 5 games, so I had a lot of time to practice. So I was spending a lot of time at practice, and I was batting really well. And in my head, the T20 World Cup team was already announced. So in my head, I was mentally, also subconsciously preparing for that. So I said, T20 cricket was we were at such a nascent stage at that point in time, uh, that we didn't really know how to approach the game, and we thought it was all about going there and hitting and smashing the ball. So I thought,
Yeah.
can I add something in my repertoire that can kind of take the bowlers by a little bit of a surprise? And I started practicing it at the nets, initially to the net bowlers, and everyone. I was able to play it really well to everybody, and slowly the nets bowlers started picking up the fact that I was walking out, so they started bowling different lengths. So I started practicing that. I was able to do that successfully as well. And then I thought, I knew that my final test would be if I could do it against the likes of Ajit Agarkar and Zahir Khan. So when Zach Bhai and Ajit Bhai were bowling in the nets, I tried it to them. I was able to successfully, play it against them, and that gave me a lot of confidence. And I was able to, kind of, repeat the whole process in a game as well. In that sixth ODI against England in Oval in that series, which we won. I did it a lot, and the bowlers were quite confused as to how to approach that, and I was able to take advantage of that degree of surprise into the World Cup as well, and was able to use it there and worked out successfully. But I think the onset of that shot has also made bowlers a lot more sharper. They've come up with different techniques to different approaches that batsmen have that they can take the bowlers by surprise with, and they've done it pretty well. So I think it's an ongoing battle. It's a good battle, a battle of wits, so to speak. So it's fun. It's fun to experience and fun to be a part of.
No, it's fun to see you bat also the way you do, and you've always done it in such great style. When it comes to challenge, you never went away from it. I remember in KKR you actually went up to the management. Is it true that you went up to the management and said, "I'm going to go up the order and bat"? Um, you know,
Well, yeah. So initially in that season, we were not doing very well at the top of the order, and I was batting in the middle order, and the whole season I had batted at the top of the order, uh, and I had scored a lot of runs. I was the top scorer in the Vijay Hazare. We had just won the Ranji Trophy. We had just won the Vijay Hazare Trophy, and I was the highest run scorer in the country in the Vijay Hazare. So I was very confident of my ability at the top of the order. So I voiced my opinion as such, and kept voicing it till I got till I got the green light to go and open, and it all worked out in the end. We went on to win the IPL. I was able to contribute to the team's success in a big way. So for me, at the end of the day, I feel like we all played for a reason. When you enter a tournament, you want to play the tournament so that you can compete and win, and not just playing it to experience something or to compete in the tournament. You want to play. If you're playing, then you have to play to win, and you have to have those processes in place. And during that point in my career, I was in a place where I was extremely certain and clear, very clear about my processes at the top of the order, which has happened to me a lot, actually, where um, I score all my runs in domestic cricket at the top of the order, but when I do play for India or make a comeback, or when I've made a comeback in the Indian team, I've been thrust into the middle order, which was obviously very difficult for me to kind of adjust because the mindsets are very different.
yeah.
You can't approach the game the same way. So yeah, I've always enjoyed batting at the top of the order. I know how to score my runs. I know how to get the team off to a good start, set a solid foundation that the team can build on, and it's something that I absolutely enjoy.
Yeah, and there are viewers asking Dayal Das the difference between Gambhir and Dhoni's captaincy. Well, always
Actually, both are very similar captains, to be honest, in the sense that they are leaders of a team. They're leaders of a group of men, and they're very accepting and very giving to that group of men. Secondly, as far as the game is concerned, they're both of them are always a couple of overs ahead of the game, which is a sign of a very good captain. A very good captain always knows, especially in a fast-paced game like a T20 game, is always aware of what's happening after. Like, I know who's going to bowl for me after maybe one over. Like, if the 10th over is going on, I already know who the 12th over or 13th over is going to be bowled by. And there's a sense of comfort. There's a sense of backing that both these gentlemen give, to their players that is something I haven't experienced before with or since with anybody else. And for me, I think that's what makes them extremely good captains. I think the fact that they give their players a sense of security, where the focus of the players is completely on performance and not on survival or of being in the 11 or holding your spot. Um, so automatically, as an athlete of that caliber, you focus on, okay, I know I'm going to be playing, so I'm just going to focus on producing match winning results or match winning performances there on the field.
Absolutely. And you must have had lots of memories of that 2007 World T20 inaugural in South Africa with Dhoni. Can you share a few of those anecdotes which will remain with you for life?
I think one of the things that I think that'll go to my grave will be the fact that every day we would meet in. We had a small group of 5 or 6 guys who would, no matter what, we'd have our meals together. No matter where we went, at the end of the day, we would have our meals together. We would just
Who were
huddle
there
up in.
in that?
Uh, it varied. It was the constants were always MS, Irfan, Piyush, RP, uh, myself. Gauti would come sometimes. um, Sri would come sometimes. Rohit Sharma would come sometimes. So we would all huddle up and order food, and we'd sit down and eat and spend time with each other. And I think that's something, just sitting down on the floor and sharing our meals together is something that I truly have cherished in that group. And it was truly like a band of brothers, to be honest. And that affection, that connection stays, I think, to this day, and will, irrespective of if we are in touch or not, because of the kind of time and the memories we've created together. I think it's all about that also. At the end of the day, it's the kind of memories you create along the way in your journey as a professional athlete that you will be able to hold dear to for the rest of your life. And I consider myself fortunate and blessed to have been able to do that with a great group of men who are wonderful human beings, all of them.
Absolutely. There's no two ways about it. But cricketers, of course, face a lot of hurdles. You also face hurdles. How do you tackle rejections? What I mean, you've seen how Mayank Agarwal missed out on playing the third Test match in Sydney. So what would you tell a Mayank Agarwal? When rejections happen, it can happen. It can come your way. I mean,
Well, to be honest, in the world of social media today, I think you face rejection on a day-to-day basis. You put up something, people always have something negative to say about a photograph or a video or a clip, or it could be anything. So I think today's generation are very adept to dealing with rejection on a day-to-day basis. um, Having said that, when the rejection comes from all fronts on your professional career, who people don't have complete insight of, that can be personally very challenging, emotionally very challenging, because you not only have to deal with the rejection of your non-performance or exclusion from a side, but also have to deal with the harsh words that people say. I think we live in a less kinder world today than we used to before the onset of social media. I think there is an importance to have a freedom of speech and opinion, but it would be so wonderful if that was used in a positive and constructive way. No one is saying don't be critical or don't criticize. By all means, criticism is very much required. And in fact, any human being who's doing wrong understands that they are doing wrong, and they're aware of the wrongs that they're doing, even if they don't outwardly acknowledge it.
yeah,
So, for to someone like Mayank, I would say that create a bubble and stay in that safe space. Understand what you need to work on, address those issues, and take one step at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself. Stay in the present. And he's someone who's earned that test cap the hard way. He did his time in domestic cricket. He earned his stripes there, worked his way up, and once he hit that purple patch, he really captured it. and he really made the most. He maximized that purple patch into fine form, and has become a player of reckoning. Someone who's today scored an IPL 100 and bats really well.
Yeah.
So you can't take those things away from anybody. Um, and just because you don't play a game well, or you have issues with your technique at this point in time, doesn't mean that stays forever. So
Yeah.
you address it and then you move forward, and then know that the opportunity will come again.
Absolutely. I mean, lot have been said about his backlift. It is too high. You, someone who always had a, you hang your bat while batting. You have a good backlift also as a batsman. So what do you say about those criticism about
Hmm.
Mayank?
Well, see, it's something that he has to deal with. It's I do feel that um, there is something that he has to address. But how much that will serve him at this point in time, by us discussing it, it's just a matter of discussion. But yes, I do feel like there is something that he needs to address, and it's something, there is possibly a reason why he's stuck to what he has, what he's with right now, as far as his technique is concerned. It must be feeling good. But I think the problem in that second test match is, the fact was, also it was a pink ball test. And the pink ball does a way lot more than the red ball does.
Yeah.
It was far more, it skids on a lot more, and I think there hasn't been enough test matches played with the pink ball for us to understand how to tackle it as a batting unit. If you notice, a lot of the most of these pink ball games, pink ball test matches, have all been low scoring games. They've not necessarily been high scoring games. So they're more of, it's more a bowler friendly situation than an even Steven situation, as which generally are in a test match scenario. So the we've kind of alluded, we missed that point actually completely as far as Mayank is concerned. But notwithstanding that, there is still something that Mayank needs to figure out as far as his technique is concerned. His I think it's just the timing of the initial movement. I think the width of his stance has become wider. And that happens when you have good form and you stick to something. There's a lot of unknowing stuff that happens. It's something that happens more subconsciously, and I think that is crept in. And I think with the amount of cricket that we play today, it's important to be vigilant about these little aspects about your own game, and know. Because generally the tendency is with batsmen, when things are going well, don't muck around with anything, don't mess with anything, leave them as it is. Extend this run as much as possible. I think that's something that Virat has done beautifully well. Virat does this, and Rohit does it very, very well. Very aware of their techniques and what works for them. In fact, Rahul took a little time to get to that place. But today, when you see him bat in all formats of the game, you see that he's very clear about his technique, very aware about his setup. Because as Praveen sir always says, if your action is right, the reaction will always be right. So it's about, and the initial moment, the setup is the action to the ball. So if you get into that position, it's a, and since it's a very complex thing, because it's something that happens, it's minute movements that happen at a very short space of time. And in that short space of time, you have to get into good positions, and have a still head to be able to watch the delivery out of the bowler's hand. So it's a complex thing. And it's a complexity that only each individual batsman actually understands. And that's where I believe that a cricketer always needs to have someone that they trust completely as far as their skills are concerned. They need to have one person that can help them and they trust. And not just with their skills, as far, or their technique as far as their batting or bowling is concerned, but even their attitude towards their game, even their psychological part, their mind, their heart. All of these things, they need to have one person they can fall back on. And if you go back and look at the most successful cricketers just from our country, you'll see that all the greats had someone they could fall back on. Dada had his elder brother, Paji had his elder brother,
Yeah.
Rahul Bhai had his father.
Yeah.
There's always someone, there's always some coach, there's always someone that they trust completely. And if they say that, hey, I'm your attitude has been absolutely nonsensical today, then they don't even argue that point. They be like, okay, they go within and they check if that's actually true. If it's not, they have a discussion about it. If it is, then you get in and you work on it, but it's a very individualistic thing. And I think that is something in our country, because the competition is so high, is so much. It's something that we need, and all cricketers need, who are playing the game and who are going to be playing the game in the future.
Absolutely, and it also amazes me the when I look back and think about Karun Nair, what a talent! The way he started, second Indian to get a triple
Absolutely.
century in cricket, and probably didn't get that many opportunities. Very sad, very sad. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those situations where he got undone by the system. It's very unfortunate. You feel very bad for a guy like Karun. Karun is, uh, man, what a batsman. What a good looking batsman. What a effective batsman. And it's unfortunate that I think the system kind of let him down in that sense. Um, but he's a tough nut. That's who Karun is. Someone who's dealt with these kind of situations in the past, and who's had his doubts about his game, but now is constantly, and that's the beautiful thing, I think, about the Karnataka culture. It's a very hardworking culture. He's an extremely hardworking individual, and someone who works hard on his fitness, his game, his batting. And he's someone I'm certain will come back and come back strong. I think he's just maybe one good complete domestic season away.
yeah, I
So
mean,
let's hope 2021 would be that season for him.
we hope it happens as at the earliest. But coming to uh, white ball cricket, we talk about Rohit
Can I
Sharma.
just stop you for a minute, Indranil? I'm so sorry. I have someone just ringing the
Yeah,
bell constantly. I'll just
yeah,
like 1 second. I apologize.
yeah. So we are chatting with Robin Uthappa, the very commendable uh, batsman from the Indian team. He's currently with Rajasthan Royals. Yeah, sorry.
I
No,
apologize. I apologize.
no, no, sorry. It's absolutely all right. Just wondering what it takes to become a successful batsman in Test cricket for a person like Rohit Sharma, who's really proved his credential in white ball cricket.
Well, I think just like the with Rohit, I think what has happened is he's evolved so wonderfully as a batsman uh, over the last 5-10 years, and I think also as a human being, and as a leader, as he has evolved so much that there has been a true understanding of his own game, and I think there's been a complete acceptance and embracing of how he plays his game without any of those lingering doubts anymore. And I think one must commend that growth that he has made, and I think that's what has brought him the success in white ball cricket, which is translated into him playing Test cricket at the top of the order. And you can see that even if you watch the game yesterday, you'd have seen how comfortable he was opening the batting. He didn't At no point did he seem not at ease while opening the batting. And I think he's very clear about his technique, very clear about his approach to batting, and confident within himself. And I think that has just grown exponentially for him over the last few years. I'm certain that his role as a leader in Mumbai Indians has played a big part in him developing his own game, and the confidence that he's utilized the confidence of those victories as a leader, and his performance as a leader to complement and supplement his game. And he's done that beautifully. And I think it's something that a lot of us can draw inspiration from, can learn from. And he's a true patriot. I remember seeing some little clip of his, uh, uh, which where someone asked a question about what motivates you on the field, or who motivates you on the field, or something to that extent. And I think without batting an eyelid, his answer was, where do you draw inspiration from? That was the question. Who do you draw inspiration from? So I think the other two gentlemen said, my brother, and the other person said my father or something. And Rohit immediately said, I draw inspiration from my Indian flag. You know, and that when he's donning those colors, he's someone who's donning the colors with a lot of pride. And there's not just the value of himself as a human being, or as a person when he's playing the game, but there's also the value of a patriot, of a true patriot, while he's batting there. So he's actually batting for our country, something that makes me feel very proud about being a cricketer. Uh, and having and have had the opportunity to have played for the country. So I think that's what makes Rohit who he is, and I think has made him as successful as he is today, and being successful as a test opening batsman. You have to remember that his average at the moment is 109 or something as an opening batsman over the last year or two. So I think that he takes that confidence also into Australia.
Is it like this when you've done so well in white ball cricket? You're a little in a rush when you're playing longest format of the game to score freely. You're in a rush, to score, keep the scorecard ticking, something like that. Really, uh,
My
you know,
question would be, would you say that my answer to that would be a question actually, and my answer to that would be this question, and that question is, would you say that to Virender Sehwag?
no, I was
Then why
coming
would
to
you say
that.
it to Rohit Sharma?
Yeah, that is true.
So
That is true.
simple as that.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, most destructive batsman you've seen in Indian cricket in last 2 decades.
The same two gentlemen. I think the same two gentlemen have been the most destructive. So like I remember just thinking of that question, and like instinctively I knew it's like Virubai and Rohit Sharma, without a doubt.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
yes, I didn't- well, I'm thinking of
Robin, can you hear me? I think there's some internet issue right now. Can you hear me, Robin?
what stands out. You probably say
Yeah,
Chris Gayle. You probably say AB de Villiers. You'll say Virat Kohli. But for me, I think these guys at the top of the order have kind of set the bar, right? Virubai set the bar. Like it doesn't matter if I'm playing a
yeah,
World Cup final. Doesn't matter if I'm playing a Test match. Doesn't matter if I'm batting on 99. If I want to hit a four, I'll hit a four. I
absolutely.
dictate my terms.
Yeah. But you know what a sad ending to a talent like Virendra Sehwag also. He started wearing glasses, and that created a sort of debate around that time, that does age slow down things for a cricketer who's 30 plus? You think age is it's just a number,
It
or how?
does. I remember in 2008, we were playing the CB series, and I think I must have been what, 21, 22. And Paji was, well into his 30s. I'm talking about Sachin Paji was well into his 30s, and he was telling me how difficult it gets to manage the body after 30, 33, 34. And I said, Paji, look at you, you're so fit, and you've played the game for over 20 years, and how can you be saying that? And he said, Robin, you'll realize after you go past 30, 32, you'll realize. And I said, no, Paji. I said, so he's like, how long do you think you'll play? I said, Paji, I'll play for as long as I'm fit, maybe till 40, I said. So Paji said, let's see, Robin, I'll speak to you, when you're closer to that age, I'll speak to you. Fast forward 12 years, 13 years from then, uh, I would very sheepishly and modestly say that Paji was quite right. Paji, yeah, I remember when I got past 32, um, the body, a lot of it just stops responding in a lot of ways that it used to before that. And it kind of seemingly happens like that transitions very, very quickly. From to be able to, like, you as a sports person, you abuse your body, right? Because our mechanics are not necessarily built for sport. The human body is not necessarily built for sport, because our sport is also played in a side on direction. It's very
Yeah,
unnatural,
you're absolutely right.
right?
Yes,
So
yes.
it's so there's a we are abusing our bodies in that sense, and we're physically abusing it constantly, right? And we're trying to balance it with our training, with our diet and all of that. And then you suddenly see that you cannot abuse your body after a certain point in time. And and it's such a dichotomy, because at one point you're so used to training so much, and then suddenly you cannot train so much, and you suddenly have to find a balance, you know and that takes a little bit of time. You suddenly have to start respecting the fact that your body needs more time to recover. to feel good. You have to work that much harder. You have to, spend that much more time, go earlier to the gym, to get ready earlier. By the time the gym session begins with as a group gym session, then you're ready with them. Stay a little later to make sure that you have, released yourself completely, so that your body is available for the next practice session. So these aspects become very real after the age of 30, after the age of 32, 33, for sure. I've noticed that over the last couple of years, that I have to give my body a lot more time to recover than I had to do before 28, 20. I could like go with few hours of sleep, but now I have to make sure that I have to get my 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep. It's imperative for me to get that, to be able to feel good, and have my complete body and mind available on the field.
Absolutely. And you still keep wickets, right? I mean,
That's another dichotomy, isn't it? I think one of the downsides of being a team man, or someone who's willing to do anything for your team, is that you just get thrown around so much that you eventually feel like, okay, what am I, a keeper, a fielder? It just is very confusing, mentally. Um, and I wish I settled down on a clarity earlier, but unfortunately I didn't. And I loved wicket keeping, and I really enjoyed it. The time I kept in the IPL between 2009 and 2018, I really enjoyed those 10 years of wicket keeping. I had a lot of fun. It gave me a lot of insight. I really enjoyed it, and I felt like I was pretty good at it. And I could have been better at it because I only kept during the IPL. So I fielded through the whole season, and then just before the IPL, I practiced wicket keeping and came and kept. But if I had kept through the year, I know I would have been a lot better wicket keeper than I was just by keeping only for the IPL. And so when DK came into the KKR setup, and then I had to go back and field again, it became slightly confusing because I kept myself ready and anticipation of I may have to keep, because there wasn't clarity. There was sometimes a talk about maybe DK will field and I'll keep, and so it was a little up and down. And then a little bit, I was also pulled out of a comfort zone, so to speak, where I knew my role, and I was performing those certain roles in those certain positions as a wicket keeper and as an opening batsman. Say for KKR for 6 years, for 4 5 years that I was with them there. And then the last 2 years it had to change, and then I was not wicket keeping, and then I was not opening the batting, but I was batting in the middle order. And then the change, I think, just became too much for me. And I think I repeated uh, that choice again, I think, in the IPL this year, where obviously the interest to keep was there, but I was being realistic, and I knew that I felt that Sanju had to wicket keep, but they decided Joss would keep, and then Sanju, it then went between Joss and Sanju, and I was okay with that. I knew I had to work on my fielding, and then it takes a while to kind of practice everything and everything and everything. And then now I've decided that, listen, unless someone tells me, Robin, you're going to be the wicket keeper of our team, when I'm not going to touch the wicket keeping gloves. So it's the first time in years I haven't packed my wicket keeping equipment in my kit bag. I'm just working strictly on my fielding, and I'm actually enjoying it, because I've enjoyed fielding as well. When I was in the Indian team, and as a youngster, fielding is something I completely enjoyed in, and I could feel in different positions. And after wicket keeping for so long, and suddenly moving here and there, and the confusion that I've been through over the last couple of years, my fielding has also been affected. But now I've been working on my fielding, and I'm going to stick to fielding, and you'll see me plucking out some good catches in the future.
oh, I'm sure about it. And in the Syed Mustaq Ali tournament, Sanju will do the keeping for Kerala.
Yes, absolutely. I think Sanju will be wicket keeping for us. That's my thought. I'm not sure. Sanju's the captain, so the final call is always is always with the captain. But yeah, I'll be on the field.
Yeah, I mean, and my colleague Prosen is asking, how is Trishan looking in the nets? Is he able
He's
to?
looking very good.
Yeah,
He's looking very good, but one has to remember that he's coming back after 7 years, and it has been a challenging 7 years for him, where he's had to completely shut out cricket, while still having the belief that he will play again someday. And when you look at it from a very human perspective, it's unbelievable the kind of conviction the man has, irrespective of what he went through. He had the conviction that he will play cricket again, and he's living that today, 7 years later. When someone as an outsider would have heard what Sri said in 2013, when he came out of jail, um, you would have thought that, man, that's never going to happen, not in this lifetime.
yeah,
But the guy's convictions are so strong, makes you have immense amount of respect for him, because he's believed in that so much. And I think it's just a testimony of complete self belief, that if you truly believe in something, no matter how unsurmountable a situation seems, or how unsurmountable a mountain seems, you can surpass it. And I draw a lot of inspiration from him because of that. um, and look at seemingly impossible things is actually possible, and he's actually bowling pretty well. I would in my honest opinion. I'm
is he
sorry.
able is he able to generate that kind of pace which he had?
It would be unfair, right, to expect that straight off the bat. You would want to give anybody, because one also has to understand the skill that he's performing. He was a fast bowler who was out of commission for 7 years, and then you brought him back. You got to give him the time to build up to going full keg, right?
Yeah.
And I think it would be only right, uh, in saying that, give the guy a year to build up to who we know Srishant to be. One thing I can assure you is that his seam positions, his release has not
Yeah.
changed at all. He is as beautiful to watch and face as he has always been. His skills are right up there, and he's gotten wilier with age. He's smarter with what he wants to do with his skills. I think if you give him enough time, and if he can prioritize cricket, because when he went out of cricket for some time, he ventured into other passions of his, and in doing so, today he's got his hands full with different things in different avenues. So if he can prioritize cricket like he believes he will over the next 3 years, I'm certain we'll get to see the best of Sri again.
Is he still talkative on the crease?
What do you think, Indranil?
Will be. I'm sure about
Yeah.
it.
She is a breath of fresh air. The kind of the kind of in a time like now, where especially during the quarantine, like he's been like truly a breath of fresh air in a quarantine situation, because he just keeps the mood so lively. Yeah, he's just an interesting, like a very he is what I would call a genius personality. He's just someone who's got the ability to turn things on, turn things up a notch just by himself, and a great character to have within any dressing room. I think
Yeah,
just
but
brings in a sense of diversity.
absolutely. My colleague Prasen is saying that you are also quite an all rounder on the field. Someone who can bat, field, and keep and bowl. He us all about the super over.
Right, I've actually done that. I've actually batted, bowled. I've bowled off spin for my stateside. I bowled leg spin for my stateside. I bowled medium pace for my stateside,
Yeah,
and I wicket kept
yeah,
for my stateside. So I've actually been someone who's done everything, and I've enjoyed all of it.
yeah.
But yeah, the bowl out in the World Cup was something that I think we have spoken about multiple times. Um, and it's something that, again, something that was a beautiful, memorable experience, and something that I enjoyed a lot. It was something that Venkatesh Prasad was making us do during our during our warm ups during the World Cup there in South Africa. He read the playing regulations of the World Cup, and knew that if a match was a tie, then it'll go into bowl out. So he said, let's practice the bowl out, in a as a pre-game, as a post warm-up game. So we did the teams would be batsmen versus bowlers, and more often than not, the batsmen won that competition than the bowlers. And one of the few batsmen who were hitting the stumps a lot was me, Rohit, and Virubai. So when the opportunity came, I went straight when it was the bowl out. I went straight to MS and I said, "Listen, I have to bowl. I just have to bowl. I know I'll hit the wickets. So please put my name in there." So he's like, "Okay," like immediately said, "Okay," you know. And I think he saw my confidence at that point in time, and then he just said, "Okay." And the rest, as they say, is history. And I was able to hit the stump, and we were able to win that game. And
And that was special about Dhoni. He's so instinctive. He was when he captained India. And coming back to that same thing, the keeping, the Saha versus Rishabh Pant debate. So who's your keeper in Test and ODI?
well, I think the ODI confusion has been settled down with Rahul
Yeah.
playing the role that he's playing right now. I think as far as ODI and limited overs cricket is concerned, I think India have figured out that dynamic where Rahul will open in T20 crickets and T20 cricket and wicket keep, and then he will bat in the middle order and wicket keep, which gives a lot of stability also in the middle order. And I think he settled into that position beautifully. So I think Rahul is the answer for limited overs cricket. As far as Test cricket is concerned, it's such a dichotomy, and you know, uh, I was speaking to one of my teammates today, and we were discussing the test match, and he was saying that they should do this. Saha should wicket keep and Pant should bat. You know, be the ideal situation.
Yeah.
you know, Catch a blow every game, and then Saha will come and keep.
Yeah. Saha was batting
But
well. Saha was batting well in the IPL.
he was, as in, it's unfortunate that people don't realize that they judged him by just that one test match. They don't realize the game before that, in the practice game, when India A played Australia A during the limited over series.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
saved the game for India. He got a important 50 or 70 with a number 11 batsman, and then drew that test match. You know, people have just let go of that, which is what is very unfortunate, because people's memories have become so short-sighted that they don't see a player of value and Saha is someone who's worked extremely hard, come back through extremely difficult situations to make comebacks into the Indian team after so many injuries. You expect for a man who's worked that hard to earn his stripes to be given the right amount of opportunities. I understand if you played him for 2 or 3 test matches and he didn't perform in all of them, and then you move on to the younger bloke. But here's a guy who's at the best of his skills, probably the best in the world at the moment as far as his wicket keeping skills are concerned, um, and is being omitted because of one non-performance in a test match. I think that's highly unfair.
Yeah, I mean, this is how it is. We saw a little bit of, you saw a lot of Rahane as a captain in ODI in 2015 Zimbabwe series, and now he's captaining the Test team. I mean, what is your definition of Rahane the captain?
He's a shrewd captain. Uh, he knows how to get what he wants, um, and he is a good reader of the game. And he captained the game beautifully in the test matches. And I think he batted also with a lot of responsibility and took that ownership on himself to make sure that he played his role to to its completion, to be able to produce the result that it has. And I think the stats speak for itself. Every time a Jew has scored 100, India have, I think, 75 or 80% of the times gone on to win the test match. So I think that in that sense itself, in that stat itself, it says that he's a match winner. You know, as far as captaincy skills are concerned, he's always been a sharp bloke. And I think anyone as sharp as him, given the space of a test match where he can plan every session, he will be extremely successful.
And some people, my colleague Prasen again asking, is Rahul the choice of a future potential Indian captain in
Oh,
making?
most definitely,
Yeah.
most definitely, without a doubt. As in, my question would be, I would ask a question instead and say, what do you all think of the way he led in, Kings 11? I thought he did a great job. I thought he he was actually a good leader, as and I think he has to grow into a few things, which will take time, which given the time and space and the responsibility, he will. And the thing about Rahul is he's a very mature individual, and he's always been a very mature kid as well. At a very young age, very very mature, someone who fended for himself from a very young age, and is a self-made person. So who understands values and the importance of team morale and building teammates. is a good and kind human being as well, um, which is again think very much required to be a good leader.
Absolutely.
I think to be a good leader, you need to have empathy. Uh, you need to be able to understand people's limitations, and Rahul has all of those capacities. And I think in the future will be a good leader for India if that's the direction that PCCI decide to go.
And the way he led, as you rightly pointed out, against when he was captain Kings 11, they lost so many close games, and he never lost that touch. I mean, carrying the team together as a leader. I thought it was very impressive. That those moments when you lose and how you keep the team together, and he did that very well as a captain, as a young captain.
One of those interesting conversations I had with him in Ranil was that I remember telling him that you guys are losing so many close games that if it comes to qualification, you all will really rue that game where that one short run was given when it was not short. And he said, Rob, what can you do about it? Listen, what can we do about it now? We can't do anything about it now. So what's the point me going there and thinking about that? You know, I said, did you all talk about it and did you all try to have a conversation about it? He said, yeah, we did, but a decision was made and the game moved forward from that point. So you can't pick that point and say that is where the game changed. There were other things that also changed that game on that particular day, and that for me gave me an insight of how he thinks as a captain. He's not someone who's going to sit and mope around about something that's gone against him. He's and that's what you want in a leader, right? I think that's what anybody wants in a leader.
But I was a little surprised because this year I thought Rajasthan Royals, last year, I beg your pardon, had the best chance of making with the playoff. The kind of lineup they had, you were part of the lineup. I mean, what went wrong? I mean, we had all the talent, the best bowlers, so much of excitement. Look at the foreign recruits you had, the Indian domestic cricketers you had. You come across with so much, bulk of experience, coming into that IPL playing 11 for Rajasthan Royals. And what exactly went wrong? I mean, we
Oh, well, quite a bit. I think I don't want to state the obvious things. I think through the course of the tournament, we heard a lot of fans, a lot of experts and commentators stating the obvious about who should be doing what, and what the lineup should be like and all that. And I think there was wasn't managed very well. And I think IPL tournaments or tournaments like the IPL are won by not the foreign players but the domestic players,
yes,
and it's often uh, it's an often missed fact that if you go back and look at all the teams that have won the championships, you see the Indian contingent performing really well, and then you see that those performances being complemented by the foreigners, but it's not the other way around. And when
yeah,
things are the other way around, they tend to kind of fall apart. And um, and you know so in my experience and being a part of teams that have won championships, I see that that's what it takes to be successful in a tournament like the IPL. And a lot of planning wasn't uh, uh, didn't go to plan. Didn't go the way it should have gone. The fact that Sanju was moved up and down the order uh, constantly through the tournament didn't serve our team when he should have batted in one position throughout the tournament. A settled batting order didn't happen through the tournament, which was going to create insecurity within the group, which it did. These are obvious things that any competent coach would know, or any competent team management would know and address. And these are things that went amiss, despite having had conversations about it. And I think those are things that once they're addressed, I'm certain that you can have as strong a group on paper as you like, but if you can't get that chemistry right,
yeah.
and the right people aren't backed, then it's hard to be able to produce the results that you desire based on the wonderful lineup that you have. People were opposition teams were seeing off Jofra Archer and attacking the other 16 overs.
Yeah.
you know and to have a contingency plan to that. There weren't discussions about that, and so there were a lot of things that were amiss in that sense. But hoping that moving forward, that those could be addressed, and if those could be addressed, without a doubt, we'll be one of those contending sides, because the care and love within the group, is unreal. It's something I haven't experienced before, to be very honest. There's a genuine love within the Indian bunch of boys, the team management. There's a genuine connection, attachment, and genuine desire for wanting your teammates to succeed, which is very hard to come by in a competitive world like we live in the competitive world that we live in today. And that's what hurts the most, that you have such a group, and still there's been so many pieces of the puzzle that are just not paid attention to.
But whenever Royals play, the fans are surely, I mean, cricket fans, not only Rajasthan Royal fans, are there. They are on the edge of their seats. That's what Shane Warne also mentor, who came on our
Yeah,
SKLive show. The same thing. That's real.
yeah,
Being watching Rajasthan Royal games.
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
is, isn't it? I think the Rajasthan Royals, the franchise itself, as in the owners, are wonderful, wonderful human beings, extremely wonderful human beings, extremely supportive, open, and allow people to express themselves and encourage people to express themselves, and they're constantly having conversations with them. Um, but what needs to be addressed for you to have the results that you desire. There's one thing talking about it, and then there's taking action. And I'm certain that if action's taken, then you know if the action is right, the reaction will always be right,
Yes.
as Praveen sir says.
Yeah, teaching. But once I was chatting with the former Indian pacer Javagal Srinath, and he said, guys who can play good Test cricket can play all formats, but a guy who's playing a good T20 or a ODI need not be a good Test batsman. We're seeing Shubman Gill coming into thick of things. He's in thick of things, and he's shown a lot of good temperament in last innings, Test innings he played. He scored his made in 50 there. He's looking quite composed, quite technically sound. So, do you think he can be someone solution for all formats for India in days to come?
Yeah, I definitely think he will be the next main batting mainstay of our country for the next 10-15 years. I definitely think so. I think he's someone that is here to stay, and I think he's going to have a trajectory very much like the greats of Indian cricket in the past. And is a again a very good human being, very hardworking guy, obsessed with batting. Um, and you can see he's very clear and very sure about his game. So I've seen him being so successful, and would love to see him be as successful and as he can possibly be. And I wish him all the best, yeah, because I definitely feel that he is one of those guys who's going to be the batting mainstays of our country for the next 10 years at least. At least.
It was really, I mean, on that note, it was really nice chatting with you. It was such a,
Thank you.
when you agreed to come on the show, I wrote on my page that I won't rob you, because we are talking to Robin Uthappa. We won't rob you from good cricket discussion, and we had that.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Indranil. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
All the best. You are in a good group which has Delhi, Bombay, I guess, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so do well,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you've done well
Thank
always
you.
wherever team you have played for. Wish you all the best, and come back strong
Thank you
this
so much,
this
Indranil.
year. Thank you,
Thank you. I
thank
will.
you.
Thank you. Cheers. Take care.